Hey guys, welcome back to Rave Culture Cast, your weekly guide to the EDM community, music festivals, and more. I am your host, Emma Capotis. Welcome to episode 175, you guys. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I have an incredible episode in store for you, basically reading our listeners' stories. And this one is all about sort of our rave evolution. So where we started as ravers, what were some of our first shows and festivals we went to, and how has that evolved to where we are now. So I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my evolution, where I started versus where I am now, and then your stories were really deep, super insightful. I was really blown away by you guys reflecting on yourselves. It was really special. So I think a lot of people will relate to this episode. So before we dive into all of that today, I wanted to share a quick word from today's sponsor, Keen. So some of you guys might know that I am super into spirituality. I love to pull my tarot cards every day. It is a side of myself that really helps me understand myself better. So for those of you who might be looking for guidance in your life or simply seeking advice in a specific area, whether that might be your career, your relationships, your health, maybe you're looking for a rave bay or something like that, you can sign up to get a reading from a ton of different experienced readers from any of these categories. So you can go on Keen's site and browse. You can use my specific link, trykeen.com/RCC. I will throw that up here and link that down below at the top of the show notes. You will get your first 10 minutes for only $199, which is actually up to a $99 in savings. So again, you can click my link, trykeen.com/RCC to get your first 10 minutes of your reading for only $1.99, saving up to $99, fam. So whether you have a specific question in mind, which you can ask your reader on the call, or you want a general reading, you can browse our site and check out anything that you are looking for there. It will help you find different clarity in areas in your life. So highly recommend checking it out. I've gotten readings before and I find them super insightful. So huge shout out to Keen for sponsoring today's episode. All right, guys, with all that being said, we are going to dive into today's episode. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with my own story and background on my own rave journey. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet, but my first ever show technically was when I was in college, and I remember visiting my, at the time, like high school boyfriend at his college, and we saw Girl Talk, who was a DJ who remixed like all these popular songs. It was this like wild show. So that was technically my first DJ show I ever did, but I typically consider what is now called Life in Color. At the time, it was called Dayglow. That is what I consider my first show. I went with a bunch of friends in college. I was a junior. You wore white. They like sprayed paint at you. And I think Fede Legrand was the headliner at the time, and like David Solano. But that was my first introduction to, I guess you would call, a rave. And it was so much fun. Obviously, in college, I was ready to party and have fun with friends, and I was like hooked after that. So for me, looking back on where it started, you know, being 21, 22, and then post-college, I didn't attend my first music festival until EDC Las Vegas 2015. And, you know, if you're like me, which is why you're here, I quickly realized that this was not just like a fun hobby and I would grow out of it, but that I really wanted to be a part of this community. So I would say where I started was definitely like kind of party energy, like going to college, you know, having fun, doing whatever I was doing at the time. And it was a lot of this like Barstool Blackout, like shows that we went to. Like, it wasn't great music, right? Like at the time I thought it was amazing, but like I didn't even know who the fucking DJ was. I didn't really care that much. But once I went to EDC, I would say that was like the pivotal change for me. And that's where I was introduced to rave culture and this huge community of people who liked the same things and dressed up however they wanted to and express themselves. And I got to experience like so many different types of artists and production and everything. So that's kind of like where I started. And then to where I am now, I would say it's like a complete 180. I'm so proud of myself. You know, at the time I was definitely into big room house, trap. I was super into trap at the time, like progressive house, all that kind of stuff. It was very much like the mainstream EDM era, and now I would definitely consider myself a house head. I'm super into techno. I love like all subgenres of both of those, but I think I have such an appreciation for music now that I can really listen to anything. Like I will still love to go to bass shows or catch some dubstep artists from time to time, some trance. Like I really love it all. And what's crazy is now I am very much looking at the artists. I attribute a lot of my knowledge from just being heavily in the scene, and it's so cool for me to just like care about the undercard and the up and coming artists, the openers. Like that is definitely where my mindset is now. Like I like the smaller stages. I like more of the underground stuff. So that's kind of my evolution. So I guess it's kind of cool to be like go from the main stage stuff to now like really, really caring about the music and all of these like unique subgenres and caring about where this music came from and the origin story. So it's super deep for me, I would say, and that's kind of how I've evolved as a raver. But so much more to come, obviously. Even on the content side, we've changed so much as a person, but I really want to get into your stories here and hear how you guys have changed. So let's dive right in. Alrighty, so our first listener, they wrote in, "Good evening, Emma. This is my first story submission." Hell yes. Welcome to the podcast. I'm excited to have you here. So my first event I went to was EZU 2017, and my last at the moment is Lost Lands 2022. So that's a 5-year window here. I have been to many festivals and concerts within this time, and let me tell you, a lot has changed from wardrobe to music and more. Music-wise, I started off by liking main stage, big room music and dubstep. Don't get me wrong, it's still my favorite kind of music, but I have grown to like a lot more house and some techno. I've also grown to like being in the back of the crowd with some space rather than being in the middle of the crowd getting pushed, hit, and blocked from tall people. My outfits have gotten more showy, I guess you can say. I was basic starting off with shorts and a t-shirt, or shorts with a cute bra my cousin made for me, but now I'm looking for lots of accessories and adding elements into my outfits like shrugs, face gems, arm pieces, etc. I've also went from a small regular fanny pack to having a lunchbox that fits and holds everything that I need. I feel that raving has allowed me to find myself in a lot of ways and to be more confident in myself. I've definitely grown to be more confident in even just my day-to-day outfits and what I wear all around. Prior to festivals, I didn't think that things looked right on me or fit the way that I wanted, but now I feel I have a whole new outlook on dressing myself, and I only look to please my eyes. Everyone, please remember to always wear what feels the most you. Being you is amazing, and no one else can do it like you. In all of my time from raving, acting like it's been so long, it was only 5 years. That still is a long amount of time. I would consider that long. I've become more and more comfortable and equipped and ready for festivals. All of this growth wasn't all alone, though. I have gotten many tips and tricks from you, Emma, along with some other content creators like the Festival Finesser and Vibe with Aid, just to name a few. Thank you for reading and listening to my journey. I hope you all have a great day and keep being you, plur always. And that is from Brianna, aka XX Rave Princess XX. I love that. I feel all the feels reading that, and I think that was a beautiful message. So thank you so much for touching on how you change as a person and even with your own personal confidence as well, because I could not agree with you more. I didn't go too in depth, but I do have a podcast episode with Maddie Maple about finding confidence through raving, and I could not agree with you more. It's the evolution of your outfits as well. Definitely like you start as a baby raver wearing like what I think I wore like jean shorts and a fucking Victoria's Secret sports bra at my first festival to like now, but there's always an evolution with all of that. So let's dive into our next story. This one says, "Hey Emma, I just wanted to start this off by saying thank you for everything you do for rave goers and EDM lovers. Thank you so much. So my rave journey, it's not a long one so far, but what a year it's been. So my first ever festival was Crossed in September 2021, and I knew literally nothing about EDM. K-Tronda and Zoo headlined, and I had never heard of them. I had an amazing time, and some of the guys I went with, this was my first time meeting them through another friend, said they had 2 extra tickets to EDC Las Vegas because their friends got COVID, and this is where it all starts. So I said no at first because I wasn't super interested, but I looked up info and videos about EDC, and your channel was the first one that I discovered. So I said, fuck it, I'm in. So October 2021 comes, and I go to EDC with a new group of friends. Long story short, I had the absolute best weekend of my life. I went all out with my outfits, saw artists I never dreamed of. Chainsmokers, Tiesto, Kygo. Yes, my music taste has evolved since then, but I made unbelievable memories. The real struggles was returning home. The come down was unreal, and I had to leave work early one of the days following EDC because I was crying. I also learned EDC is expensive, really expensive. When I say it broke the bank, and I wasn't prepared for it. The following 2 months was just me trying to get back on my feet. Those 2 months, though, lit a fire under me to leave my job as I was underpaid in an attempt to move up in my career. Wow. Needless to say, January of this year, I started at a company that I couldn't have even dreamed of. I'm valued, respected, and I've had more career growth this year than the rest of my life combined. That's amazing. Over the past year, I've gone to Crossed 3 times, Countdown, Beyond Wonderland, EDC, both in October and May, Nocturnal, and flew to Red Rocks to see Said the Sky, my number one best set, such a magical night. The 2 guys who had COVID, originally from EDC, came with us to the next one, and we are growing as a rave fam now. As far as my music taste, I can say I get down to literally every genre of EDM, but melodic dubstep lights me up like nothing else. I discovered 7 Lions through your videos and never looked back. That is the ultimate compliment, you guys. Festivals have become my outlet, and I don't see myself slowing down anytime soon. Because of that initial struggle after my first EDC, I get the best of both worlds, more career growth and more festivals, aka more money. I know you've said EDC Las Vegas changed your life, but I can 100% say the same. Here's to many more years of raving. Love, Corey. Oh, that hit the heartstrings. This is why I love doing the listener submitted episodes, because you guys have the most incredible stories. Not only did you find community and new friends, but you grew the balls to quit your job and go after something that is so much more meant for you, and you're being treated the way you should be. So that is a huge credit to you, and that is an amazing evolution in such a short time. So congratulations. That is so cool. I will say too, just to touch on the budget side of things, because I didn't mention this before, I will say in such a long time span, because I did talk about this with somebody recently, like I started in 2011 and obviously it's 2022 now. Obviously as you grow older and you can afford more things, I think that also attributes, right? Because you can attend to go to more events, you can pay for a higher level ticket. So for me, I always started out, I think I would just do like EDC Las Vegas. That was my only festival for the entire year for like multiple years in a row. And then I was able to add, like, I think 2019 was the first time I did like 6 festivals in one year. So, obviously as you get older, I think when you're able to afford more things, because this is a privileged hobby to have, that can also change your rave journey as well. So I just wanted to throw that in there. All right, next story. Hey, Emma, love the podcast and the YouTube channel and everything you do for this community. I wanted to submit my story for how my first festival went versus my most recent one. And her Instagram handle is Miranda_Wood33 if you wish to share. Okay, so the biggest difference I've noticed for how I navigate festivals now versus my first one is how I prepare and what stuff I bring. So my first festival was Lost Lands 2018, and at the time, I didn't have any friends who were into EDM or raving. I made a post on Radiate looking for a group to join, and a girl messaged me offering me to join her group. Shout out to Radiate for introducing me to this amazing group of people who I am still friends with to this day. Since I had never been to a festival before, and the only times I had ever been camping in my life up to this point was with my family when I was a kid, I had no idea what to bring. So the girl who originally messaged me offered me to share her tent so I didn't have to worry about bringing one. I brought a duffel bag full of outfits, makeup, glitter, and a single bottle of vodka, as well as a sleeping bag. That is it. I quite literally showed up with nothing but a sleeping bag, alcohol, and vibes. I didn't even have a hydration pack because I didn't know that was a thing. Luckily, the group I was camping with were veteran festival goers, and I was able to bum snacks, water, toiletries, etc. from the weekend. The most recent festival was Electric Forest this year. Even though I was in a group, I still packed my car up full to the top with everything I could possibly think of. I had a tent, a blow-up mattress, a case of water, bags upon bags of snacks, a battery-powered fan, canopy, blankets, pillow, first aid kit, you name it, I packed it. A bitch comes prepared now. I look back on that first Lost Lands now and just wonder how the hell I survived. Now my mindset is it's always better to have extra stuff and not need it than to not have something and need it. Sharing amongst a group is the best part about camping at a festival, but I sleep better knowing that I have everything I need no matter what. So thank you for listening to my story and keep up with your amazing, authentic self. Love you, Emma. Miranda Wood. Love you, Miranda. That was so dope. I love the evolution. So camping festival evolutions, I feel like in their self, we've been on a journey, fam. You know what I mean? Like I'm right there with you. No matter how prepared you think you are, like I went to my first like real camping festival this year as well, which was Electric Forest. But technically I did Camp EDC Vegas in the fall in October. And that was my first time not doing a hotel. And even with all my years of like raving, I was still unprepared. Like I brought the shittiest pillow so I didn't sleep. Like I wore the wrong earplugs the first night. Like, you know what I mean? So I feel like you have to have that first time to make those mistakes to even get to where you're going to be eventually. So for you at Lost Lands, like showing up with fucking a sleeping bag, vodka and vibes, like luckily you had your friends to help you. But yeah, the struggle is real, but I'm glad you came around. All right, fam, we're going to keep this thing rolling. This one says, hi, Emma. My first rave was in November 2018. It was the only live music venue in the small town where I went to college in Wisconsin. The Floozies and So Down played, and I was enamored by the funkiness, bass, and lasers. It was a great show, very laid back, considering where I am now. My first festival was January 2019, and I jumped in the deep end with Holy Ship. This was a whole other world where I fell in love with house music, festival fashion, and most importantly, the amazing people in this scene. My most recent festival was ARC, which isn't too much of a stretch from Holy Ship, besides not being on a ship, but it is much different from a small town venue where I started raving. Once I started down the rabbit hole of rave culture, I was hooked and I haven't looked back. My music taste has only changed in that I've fallen more in love with house music over the years and found a love for hard-hitting techno. I found that I don't like bass as much as I thought I would, coming from loving hard rock music before EDM. I started out listening to Excision, Sullivan King, Rez, Zed's Dead, but after Holy Ship, I was fully changed to Househead, Gorgon City, Chris Lorenzo, Claude Von Stroke were the first few I listened to after Ship, and I still love them all. I also listened to Odessa a lot when I first got into EDM, and they're still one of my favorites. I've been to Electric Forest twice, and I love Forest because it has such a wide range of music genres. This year, we were going to go from Grizz, which is a bit of everything, to Ia Terra, which is reggae, to Sun Squabby, Jam, to Clooney, Tech House, etc. As much as I love house, it's so nice to be able to go see artists that aren't all of the same subgenre. I can't wait until Forest 2023 to get another chance to see so many people I love. Great point. I love your evolution of genres and how you have just explored different things. And I think that's just natural with growing up in this scene and being open to different things. I feel like on TikTok and social media, there's always like this running joke of like bass heads versus house heads. And it's this like fabricated thing. But I feel like if you're a real one, you know that there's like respect for all the genres and you can kind of get down with a little bit of everything. Even though there's things like I wouldn't listen to, there's just an evolution that you go on and your taste can change. But I love that you mixed up like every kind of genre, and I agree that is definitely one of the best parts about Electric Forest. All right, next story. Hi, Emma. I found you right before EDC 2021, and I love what you do. I'm currently 21, and my first ever rave was Global Dance Fest 2019. That festival is where I found my love for all things electronic music. Before that festival, I was a househead for sure, but at that festival, I found my love for all genres and subgenres of EDM and bass music. My most recent rave and festival was Lost Lands, Ohio. I have to say that is the most fun I have ever had at a festival. Day 0, we met our neighbors in camping, and they were so helpful and loving. Night 1, we met the most amazing couple. Their names are Jessica and Corey. We met them during Excision's 2-hour set. They showed us so much love and even snuck us into VIP, which was amazing. They gave us the absolute best possible start to our weekend. Night 2, during LS Dream, we ran into our amazing neighbor, Tyler, and his rave fam. I was getting a bit overstimulated, and when we found them, it was the perfect time. They gave me a place to sit, and it helped me relax so much. But overall, Lost Lands is the first festival I truly felt plur. Other than people I mentioned, we met so many other beautiful souls, and I have so many wonderful conversations. I owe a huge thanks to my friend we met up with on day 3, Clarice. If it wasn't for her, I would never have experienced this absolutely magical festival. Much love, Jason. Hope to meet you at EDC 23. Thank you for writing in, Jason. I love that. Lost Lands just seems to have the best vibes, guys. I'm not going to lie. I never really considered going in the past, but just based on the word of mouth alone, it just has the most incredible vibes is what I'm hearing. So we'll see. We'll see. Lost Lands 2023, guys. I don't know. Okay. Hey, Emma, I don't know if this is too long for you to use, but whatever. Never too long. We're going for it. That's a lie. There are things that are too long. Don't write things in that are super long. But you guys can also send voice memos. Like, totally feel free to send a voice memo or a video recording. Like, if you want to send a video of you telling your story, I will put that in the podcast. Like, more than happy to put you guys on camera. Okay. I got started raving late. I was 32 when I went to my first festival, EDC Orlando 2021. At the time, I wasn't even an EDM fan, but one night in late April while we were living in Miami, my 21-year-old nephew was like, "Hey man, I don't have anyone to go to EDCO with me. Do you want to come?" I was just bored enough from pandemic life and had just enough drinks in me to say, sure, why not? Bought my ticket that minute and didn't think much of it. When the lineup dropped, he was very excited, and I thought I better do some research to figure out what I got myself into. Found your YouTube lineup breakdown, and while you were very positive of the lineup, I realized I had no idea what I was doing. While I had a slight recognition of some of the larger names like Armin, Zed, and Cascade, I knew nothing else. Names like Excision, Seven Lions, Black Coffee, and Subtronics might as well have been terms in a foreign dictionary for all they meant to me. My nephew started testing the waters by playing different genres. At one point, I think he played Sudden Death and was like, yo, turn this off. But I'm no quitter. I watched a few more videos. I didn't want to stand out like a sore thumb, brought my brightly colored shirts, and we were off to Orlando. I loved every second. I vibed out to A-Craze and Black Coffee, inspired my inner emo kid with Said the Sky, broke our necks to Excision and Subtronics, and eventually got real emotional at Armin van Buuren's closing set. Amazing. The excruciating drive back to Miami Monday morning was a small price to pay. I wish I could say everything changed that weekend, but that would be a lie. It didn't add up. It didn't add that much EDM to my Spotify playlist. I didn't immediately buy tickets to other shows or festivals. When people asked me how it went, I said it was fun and moved on. Other than buying my 2022 EDCO tickets, I really didn't do anything. It all changed during Miami Music Week. I took my friends to see Seven Lions show at Wynwood, and we vibed out and met a bunch of cool people. It was halfway through the Woolly Trifecta back-to-back that I realized how much I missed this. After that evening, I was hooked. I spent the summer exploring the music on Spotify, going to shows, and consuming festival and rave YouTube. After we got back to EDC Orlando, I'll be at Cyclops Cove Ultra, EDC Las Vegas. Camping passes are secured. Forbidden Kingdom, hopefully Lost Lands, and of course, back to EDCO. The other day at my job, I'm in a very conservative profession. A work friend asked what I do for fun. I sort of smiled and said, "Oh, I go to raves." She paused, smiled back, and said, "Oh my God, me too." Turns out we're everywhere. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. You can now catch me at a Sudden Death set, Michael. I love that. Your writing is so amazing too. That I just felt like I got to know you through that. But that's awesome. Yeah, you never know who's a raver in your life, guys. They're hiding. People are hiding. They're not showing it. But I love, sometimes it doesn't happen like that. Like, sometimes you don't have the most magical trip. I think that's another thing too, is like we speak so highly of these events, but like when you do enough of them, you're bound to have a shitty experience, right? Like not every single one is going to be amazing. So don't be afraid if you're not totally hooked yet. That might not even be your journey, right? Like you might be a more casual festival goer or something like that, but you just got to trust. You just got to trust in your own journey, because we're not all the same. Everybody's path is completely different, as we've seen so far from all these stories. So I think we have 2 stories left and then we'll wrap things up. All right, our last few here. So hi, I am about to share my experience as a raver. Thank you for reading it. Before entering into rave culture and my festival experience journey, I used to listen to hip hop and R&B back in 2011. Unexpectedly, someone I knew back in that time shared Cascade's music with me, and I just couldn't stop falling in love with it. That's how I really expanded my music genres. My first music festival was EDC 2013, and that was mind-blowing for my first rave. I thought that could be the last rave of my life before going there. Apparently, I was literally wrong. By the way, I loved EDC 2013. Remember, we still have tons of rooms to dance at the front of Kinetic Field. Also, the atmosphere was pretty simple. Everyone was there just purely for the music. I remember I didn't know what was a raver like, and I didn't know what it meant, but that was my first experience of plur culture. Ridiculously, I wore wedge shoes, sparkling tank tops, and shorts for that longest and funniest 3 nights of my life. I was 27, and I just started to understand some meaning of my life from my very first festival experience. My last festival for now was EDC 2016. My music taste has turned into more of a dream state-like. I've fallen in love with trance music. It has brought me to a higher frequency and good energy every time when I was drowning in the music festival. I'm glad to let you know that I really used to plan the whole trip to a festival, and now I know what to wear to express my inner self comfortably. Lastly, I believe I had attended some music festivals, but I did not feel 80 to 90% comfortable. Usually that was not about the festival, but some of the people. But I would notice them and always tried to get away from them as far as I could. Thank you for reading my journey, written by my poor English level. Have a great day. Oh, thank you so much for writing it. All right, I hope you get to a festival again soon. Okay, I think a couple more. Hi, Emma. I started hanging out with a guy last year who showed me videos of where he went to EDC 2017, and on a whim, we decided to buy tickets to go in 2021. I had never been to a festival, let alone a concert, and he told me that there was no way to just fully describe a festival, but I would be hooked. We went to EDCO, and of course, I loved it. It was more than I could ever imagine, and he actually asked me out the first night. Going into EDC, I thought I would like house and techno and something that I could dance to, but once we got there and I felt the bass, I knew I was a bass head. Immediately after EDC, we started looking to more shows and festivals. We've been to 3 concerts and 3 festivals, including Forbidden Kingdom, Moonrise, and Imagine. We took some of our friends to Moonrise, where we found out that they are not bass heads, and so for EDC, we're doing something we always said we wouldn't do as a group and splitting up, as we've come to realize that we can't all have a good time if we're staying at a set just because somebody else wants to see it. Totally agree with you. You guys will be fine. Just pick a meetup spot. EDCO, we will be celebrating our 1-year anniversary and my 1 year of raving. In that year, I've learned the hard way about pickpocketing and have even learned, though a fanny pack may conflict with your outfit, you should always bring one. I love dressing up and planning outfits. That hasn't changed. I've also learned I'm for sure a rave mom. I enjoy having my fun, but I have more fun when I know everyone else has everything they need to have a great time. I love that. I feel that hard. I've also learned everything I know about preparing for a rave from you, Emma. You were the first person I found when preparing for EDC, and I've watched you ever since, so thank you. Thank you for watching. My evolution as a bass head will continue as we're going to Forbidden Kingdom next year and hopefully Lost Lands. Thanks, from Stephanie. All right. Hi, Emma. I love and admire all that you do for the rave community, and you've helped me prepare for festivals with all of your videos. Thank you, guys. I'm feeling the love from you guys. I love this. Okay, this one's short and sweet. So my first rave experience was Okeechobee 2020. I unfortunately couldn't take all the time off from work that I needed, but I did end up purchasing a 1-day ticket and made the 3.5-hour drive from Tampa. That is dedication. Glass Animals, Flatbush Zombies, Grizz, and Subtronics were all on my must-see list, and I made it to every set. My first time seeing Grizz, and this is when I fell in love with festivals even more than I already was. The energy, the smiles, the happiness that sax man brought was incredible, and I didn't want his set to end. I ended up running into friends I knew camped the whole weekend and walked around with them for a little before going solo again. To be in the woods and surrounded by Florida nature at Sunshine Grove is like nothing else, and that experience has led me to EDCO, Sunset Music Festival, and countless local shows. I love the EDM festival community so much. The self-expression, kindness, and friendships that are a result of these events is incredible, and I just wish everyone in my life could experience it. Thank you again for all you do, Emma. Hope to see you at EDCO. Emmy Schatzberg. Thank you for all you do. I could not agree with you more. It's not just about the musical taste changing, but to hear you guys finding friends and expressing yourselves and finding your confidence in raving and putting yourself out there and quitting jobs that you know aren't good for you just from like experience such a life-altering weekend or just an uplifting community is incredible. And again, it's why I do this. It is, when I say it has been life-changing, I mean that it has been life-changing. So it's amazing to see that it has done the same for you guys. Alrighty, fam. One last story. This one is from Peter. Peter, let's wrap this up. Okay, Emma, hope you and your family are well. Thank you so much. They are doing great. When I saw this topic, I knew I had to write in. So I came into dance music in a unique way. Back in 2012, I was going through probably the roughest spot in my life. This is a bit heavy, but my close friend had basically outed me as gay to my entire high school, which resulted in my conservative Christian parents finding out and putting me in a religious conversion therapy. Geez. Though things have gotten way better with my parents since then, this was a super dark time for me. A few weeks later, I was in a study hall at school, and a kid who I was not very close friends with approached me and invited me to see Avicii with him and his friends. I had no idea who Avicii was, but I figured I could use a good time, and it was a good opportunity to meet new people. Upon hearing Avicii's music, I had never heard anything that spoke to me the way it did. Little did I know the show would introduce me to the most beautiful music I had ever heard, help me to form a completely new identity, and give light to my life in my darkest moments. I was completely hooked, and I have been a raver ever since. I love all subgenres of electronic music. I've been to Lost Lands 3 times. I love Martin Garrix. I've been to multiple psytrance festivals. And in the past, I was known to dance in dirty basements to house and techno until 7 a.m. Yes. These days, I am raving a bit differently than I once did. I am getting older and I can no longer swing shows and festivals every weekend. I've definitely felt the toll of that lifestyle on both my physical and mental health, especially as it pertains to lack of sleep and substance use. With that said, I have been super fortunate to have attended a lot of festivals and seen many of the DJs on my bucket list. Though I do go to less shows and festivals now, this makes them more special and reminds me of how grateful I am for the music. I truly believe it will be an integral part of my life until the day I die, and I want all ravers who are maybe starting to feel like shows and events are no longer for them, that it's okay. This all started because we fell in love with the music, and that will be ours forever. Peace, love, unity, and respect, Peter. You're going to make me cry out here with that last line. Wow. First off, thank you so much for sharing that story. The fact that you got to see Avicii as your first show, knowing what we know now and knowing that his life has been lost is pretty incredible. So you have all of the memories and experiences, and I think that's a natural part of growing up and being in this community. There are going to be, I have friends, and we've talked about this, who are parents. Like, there are going to be times where you may go every weekend and you may go super hard and it might consume your total life and personality. And then there may be times in your life where you don't go to shows for a year. It might just be how it is, but I couldn't agree with you more in saying that it's just going to be like permanently a part of you and then it will always be ours. I love that saying. And I couldn't agree more. I think you need to just lean into your own life and what feels good to you and not pushing yourself, and recognizing maybe when you need a break, whether it's from substances or from being in an environment that isn't the best for you. So yeah, recognizing that is really important. And naturally, as you get older, sometimes things do slow down, right? So I'm right there with you, Peter. That was a beautiful note to end on, guys. That was our last submission. So I'm going to take a super quick break here, and then we will get into our Rave Culture Cast recap. I've got a ton of news heading your way this week, so I will be right back. Alrighty, fam, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. I hope you enjoyed hearing all about those stories from our Rave fam's journeys as ravers and festival goers. Like I said, I think it's so special to hear you guys reflecting on your journey so far. So it's really, really cool. I always look back and I can't believe where I am now versus where I started. I definitely did not think I would be this heavily involved in the scene, let alone have it be a part of my career. So it is really incredible just to see how impactful this community, this music, these events can have in our lives. Like, some of you guys have made big steps in your own lives because of the confidence you've gotten out of being a raver. So like I said, it's why I do this. It's super special to me. So really cool that you guys shared your stories. Thank you so much for writing in. I'm going to hop into our Rave Culture Cast recap. I just have a couple super quick things here. First and foremost, this weekend we've got our Halloween weekend, which is my favorite holiday. I'm not doing any shows this year. I'm actually going out to Minnesota for a Vikings game this weekend, but you've got a bunch of different festivals out there, Second Sky being one of them. That is Porter Robinson's event happening out in Oakland, California. It was all over the news. I posted something on Rave Culture Cast's Instagram and TikTok, but the surprise guest this weekend is actually Skrillex, and it is his first festival performance of the year. If some of you remember back in May, he was supposed to perform at Sunset Music Festival in Florida, and that didn't happen. So wildly enough, the end of October is his first performance of the year, so that's super special if you guys are planning to go. Obviously, set times, festival map, all that stuff is out. In some music news, some of you guys might know Claude Von Stroke's brand and label Dirty Bird Records. There was an announcement this week that the label itself was actually acquired by Empire. It said that it was just the the music label portion of Dirty Bird Records. I don't believe it affects the event side. But essentially this acquisition now marks Empire's entrance into the dance music scene. Dirty Bird was originally founded in 2005 by Barclay Crenshaw, which is otherwise known as Claude Von Stroke. This is all on musicbusinessworldwide.com. So yeah, this company has worked with other multi-platinum Grammy Award-winning artists, and the acquisition of this now is inclusive of their whole music catalog, all of the artists that they work with. And it says Claude Von Stroke will continue to own and run all of Dirty Bird's live events and festival brands. So I'm just curious to see how that acquisition affects any of the music and releases they come out with. And the last thing I'm saving till the end here, just because it is a little bit heavier, trigger warning, I am going to discuss sexual assault here. Unfortunately, again, for a second week in a row, the fact that this keeps coming up. I actually filmed last week's episode where I talked about this situation with Relentless Beats, and literally after I finished that, like, all this stuff came out about the artist Mize, and it's just like, it was a heavy week on Twitter. Don't want to make you guys feel heavy, but I have to talk about it because it's an important topic, and it's important to me to use my platform to talk about sexual assault, especially as it pertains to the music scene. But yeah, this was kind of everywhere last week. Mize is a dubstep artist, bass music artist. This is on youredm.com. Essentially, I'm going to recap the whole thing, but he was accused of sexual assault. There were several allegations about him, and obviously, this is very triggering for a lot of people, but, all different artists that were friends with him, have worked with him, have all come forward, saying they were very surprised. They didn't know that any of this had happened. So he has been removed from a lot of lineups. He has been removed from certain labels and things like that. So obviously there's been a lot of things that have come out. He has released his own official statement. You can check that out. It's up on his Twitter. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it is very, very long. It's extremely disappointing. I don't even know really what else to say other than it shouldn't be this hard for artists, people in power. It's not just artists, anybody, any industry, to abuse their positions of power, to take scenarios and, not use consent, to take advantage of people, whether, they thought something was consensual or not. Clearly it wasn't in this scenario. So it's just really hard because I think every woman can probably say for themselves that they've dealt with a situation before, whether it's harassment or, at an extreme to sexual assault. It's really unfortunate that every single woman probably has a story about this happening. So it's just really extremely disappointing to have more and more stories and allegations. Mize wasn't the artist wasn't the only artist this past week that was brought into this. Blunts and Blondes also was brought up amongst many other DJs. So this isn't anything new in the scene, but I truly hope that, again, people can speak up and share their stories. I hope that other people can advocate for safety in this scene. I did a post about that, even with the news of last week, feeling safer in your own workplace, we should just feel comfortable. This shouldn't be an issue. We shouldn't have to keep talking about this over and over again. It's getting ridiculous. So I hope that the person in question, is okay and that they find healing from this situation. And I I truly believe that Mize is able to reflect on this situation, understand what he did wrong, and then deal with the repercussions of what happens with that. So I'm sending all the good vibes out to her, and hopefully that she finds healing. But yeah, that is the last thing that I have, you guys. There's a bunch of articles on it. And again, there's a lot on Twitter. But again, if you need to protect your own mental space, I had to like shut Twitter this past week because it was just too much to read. And it was just a lot of like negativity upon negativity, and it gets a lot. So I'm sending you guys all the good vibes this week. I want to leave you on a high note. But thank you again to everybody, all of our listeners who submitted everything this week. The last things I will leave you guys with is you know where to find us at Rave Culture Cast on all of the platforms, all of our social links, online communities, everything like that will be linked down below in the show notes, along with our sponsor Keen. If you guys want to get your tarot cards read, love reading, anything like that, definitely check it out. Again, trykeen.com/RCC. You'll get your first 10 minutes of your reading for only $1.99. So check all that stuff out, you guys. I love you. Thank you so much for being here and for listening to another episode. And I will be back next week with a new one. Bye, guys.
Dancing,